Draw and explain the complete activity lifecycle in Android with a neat state diagram. Explain each callback method: on create, on start, on resume, on pause, on stop, on restart, and on destroy with practical scenarios. An activity is one of the fundamental components of an Android application. It represents a single screen that allows users to interact with the application. The activity lifecycle is the sequence of states through which an activity passes from its creation until it is destroyed. Android manages this lifecycle using callback methods. Understanding the lifecycle helps developers manage resources efficiently, save user data, and provide a smooth user experience. एक्टिविटी लाइफ साइकिल डायग्राम. सबसे पहले हम ऊपर ऐप लॉन्च लिखेंगे, फिर नीचे एरो, ऑन क्रिएट, फिर नीचे एरो, ऑन स्टार्ट, फिर नीचे एरो, ऑन रिज्यूम, फिर नीचे एरो, एक्टिविटी रनिंग, फिर नीचे यूज़र लीव्स ऐप, एरो, ऑन पॉज. ऑन रिज्यूम के बाद हम लाइन डालेंगे, फिर लिखेंगे एक्टिविटी रनिंग, फिर लाइन, फिर यूज़र लीव्स ऐप, फिर एरो, ऑन पॉज. फिर हम पॉज के बनाएंगे टाइप्स, दो जो है, नहीं तीन. रिटर्न्स क्विकली के नीचे ऑन रिज्यूम, दूसरा फुली हिडन, ऑन स्टॉप, और तीसरा रिटर्न्स टू ऐप, ऑन स्टार्ट, फिर ऑन रीस्टार्ट, फिर लाइन मार के ऑन स्टार्ट, फिर लाइन मार के ऑन रिज्यूम, फिर लाइन मार के यूज़र क्लोजेस ऐप, और एरो ऑन डिस्ट्रॉय. Callback methods of activity lifecycle. On create. On create is the first method called when an activity is created. It initializes the activity. Functions. Inflate the layout using set content view, simple brackets. Initialize variables. Connect UI components. Initialize databases and resources. Practical scenario. When the user opens a calculator app, Android first calls on create to load the calculator screen and initialize buttons. Second, on start. On start is called after on create. The activity becomes visible to the user but is not yet ready for interaction. Functions. Makes the activity visible, registers listeners, and prepares UI components. Practical scenario. The login screen appears on the device but the user has not started typing yet. Third, on resume. Definition. On resume is called when the activity comes to foreground and becomes ready for user interaction. Functions. Start animations, resume camera, resume sensors, accept user input. Practical scenarios. When a user opens Instagram and starts scrolling through posts, the activity is in the resumed state. 4. On pause. Definition. On pause is called when another activity partially covers the current activity. Functions. Save temporary data, pause animations, pause video or audio, release lightweight resources. Practical scenario. While using WhatsApp, a phone call arrives. WhatsApp enters the paused state. 5. On stop. On stop is called when the activity is completely hidden from the user. Functions. Release unnecessary resources, stop background updates, save application state. Practical scenarios. The user presses the home button, moving the app completely to the background. 6. On restart. Definition. On restart is called when stopped activity is restarted before becoming active again. Functions. Prepare the activity to return to the foreground and restore resources. Practical scenario. The user opens a shopping app, presses home and later returns to the app. Android calls on restart. 7. On destroy. On destroy is the last callback for before the activity is destroyed. Functions. Release memory, close database connections, stop background tasks, and clean up resources. Practical scenario. The user closes the application on or Android removes it from memory. Importance of activity. Life cycle. Efficient memory management prevents memory leaks, saves user data during interruptions. Improper resource management improves application performance, ensures smooth user experience.